game together, but crumble in the late game. Like, this is where I need to see some sort of consistency from LNG, because like even Ox was talking about, like, we've seen this against TT where LNG just didn't look so hot. We've seen it from so many different times that LNG just haven't been able to get any sort of clean consistency together, and we'll have to see now as we get into game 3 if they actually can.
All right, we'll see the bans here. Renata is banned away, so is the Nautilus for LNG, so a lot of engage slash potential peel tools taken away from LGD, as the Lucian and the Corki are the bans from LGD themselves. So still some high-profile picks left on the table so far.
Wukong, Zeri, Senna, all still on the board. So it looks like LGT. Okay, I was about to say you're going to try and trade and maybe leave open the Zeri, but with Wukong banned, I think you ban the Zeri, leave the Senna over for LNG, and then you can kind of go back to what LGD did last game, which was just going for these late game AD carries in the Jinxes and the Aphelioses that can try and take over.
Yeah, I'm very happy that LGD read the room and banned that Zeri, because I wouldn't have wanted to see that again. I think Light was a little too dangerous on that one. But Viego picked up by Tarzan this time around, as we did get some ADCs through the ban table this time, as Assam was actually super hard targeted the first 2 games of the series. The Kalista finally makes it through. Maybe they want to go ahead and lock in their ADC here just to make sure they can get Assam something he can work with.
See, I'd actually rather that they didn't take the Kalista or the Senna. I know it's locked in, but I feel like, as we talked about, LGD has looked better when Asam's on a late game scaler. And we've seen the Aphelios Kaz come out as an answer to the Kalista, and I feel like you could have just gone for that style. Shadow, though, will get a very big comfort pick for himself with the Lee Sin. A great answer into the Viego. So now we'll have to see what LNG decide to go for. I imagine it will just be the Senna Tam Kench. Like, they're not going to be that worried about it. Or maybe they just take the Senna, because... whatever reason, they are determined to have Allah on this Snar pick. Yeah.
I mean, he was, besides some timing windows, I think he was pretty good on the pick itself. First of all, before we get the lock-in for LNG, I got to go back to the pick for Shadow. Lee Sin, Shadow, obviously hand in hand there as pick and player there. But the big thing when he plays this champion is the unique pathing that he can take. So we got to keep an eye on what he can do to kind of up in Tarzan's early jungling, because you've seen bits and pieces of that on his other picks so far in this series. And on the Lee Sin, he really gets enabled through his aggressive playstyle. So I'm definitely looking back to the Shadow Jin Zhao combination, see how that works out. But here you go, Dagda, a present just for you, because it's Christmas in July. And it's Gnar for LNG.
Yeah, now I'm curious to see what the game plan is going to be for LGD. Great. I really like this pickup of the Amumu. I think Amumu definitely incredibly strong at the moment. Going to get buffs as well. Works super well with the Kalista, because you get to go in with Bandage Toss 1, reset the play if you don't really find a good setup with the ultimate, and then you got a second Bandage Toss to try and basically rinse and repeat. So 3 potential engages essentially for this Amumu, which makes it way easier to find the big Curse the Sad Mummy. The only thing that I'm going to say, though, is I feel like for LGD, they're setting up for an Ahri pick. Lee Sin Ahri, an incredibly strong mid-jungle. You're already banning the Silas, so I'm curious to see if LNG actually ban away the Ahri off this next rotation, or if they're just going to leave it open and LGD will pick that up in their next pick.
I do like the Gwen ban, though. Don't want to have that happen again. I feel like they might be confident in that Gnar pick, but that Gwen was scary. They also, on LGD's side, ban away the Silas and the Braum. So taking away the Braum-Ezreal combo there for my Wandi and Light, but still a lot left on the table here. And LNG have one more ban. Could expect it to go to one of these solo lanes, and they're going to go towards the Sejuani to give even more resources, at least in terms of bans against, for Ala in the top side.
It looks like Shalitza's just going to go back towards the Ornn. I was curious if they're going to go for maybe something like an Aurelia or something along these lines in the top lane, like go for a more carry-oriented pick, because you already have really good engage coming through from that Amumu. And you've got the Ahri that I imagine is going to try and be there for LGD as well. But yeah, okay, so not going to be the Aurelia, but going to take the Kayle on that top side. So looking to just try and scale, at least late game, have Chalitza as the backup, and kind of use this Kalista and the Lee Sin as that bridge into the later portion of the game.
Which I can, on paper, right, fits a decent style for LGD, I feel like, especially the way that Chalitza has been playing so far this game, or this series rather. I think it's been a very interesting first series for the guy, but in terms of finding some bright spots, I've seen a lot. And I want to see how he does with the Kayle. It's a little bit of a different style coming to this one as the final game of the series to kind of throw something into the works here for them. But it is the Tahm Kench and the Taliyah that we finally get to see, and it will be piloted by Doomby.
Yeah, he's going to have his work cut out from here in the top side for Chalitza, because this Talia is going to be going top side. Yeah. You're not really going to be playing around Ezreal Tahm Kench in the bottom lane, so it's going to be a case of trying to punish this Kayle in the top half of the map. Lissandra now taken for Yeji to try and get that push and be another engage tool for LGD, which I think is a good shout. I think Yeji definitely more of a facilitator style of player, so this Lissandra should work out relatively well. So I don't know. It feels very back and forth. LNG definitely looking to spike in the mid game, trying to snowball with Doomby playing towards this top side around Ala. And for LGD, they have a decent early game off the bottom half of the map where they can look for dragons, but late game, just because of this Kayle, always going to stand with LGD.
Yeah, I got to go back to the thing that we perpetuated at the beginning of the series that was going to be super crucial, and it is, objective control generally around the map. That all focuses on Tarzan and Shadow. And I think in this last one, we'll see the iterations that they want to put on the Rip, but it's very different to me because you get a little bit of a change in style, at least. You get all that CC, you get all that engage potential for LGD, which I think on the Lee Sin, Shadow will have a ton of fun playing around with. And on the other side for LNG, you draft the Ezreal, right? Something different coming into this series itself, but you're still trying to get to that late game. You're still trying to get to the, 25, 30-minute mark there for themselves.
Yeah, and I'm waiting to see if we actually get the success here for Assam on this Kalista.
Yeah.
I think the fact that we got an early game champion here for Assam is kind of a different path here. We have seen it from like 3 times. Has only won a single game. Saying we've got the Draven as well with a 0% win rate. That's why it feels like these early game champions in the bot lane haven't really worked out for LGD, but we'll have to see as we start to move into game number 3.
We do. I'm excited to see some variations in this final game of our first series of Super Saturday. The Kayle coming in here, the Lissandra changing up a little bit of the reinforcements for LGD, but we'll see if they can take down the potential top dogs here in LNG, if they can find the stride that LNG has found in the past, and this composition comes together. It's going to be a tight one. It's going to be a close one. Get buckled in because it's going to probably be a long one here, LNG versus LGD Game 3.
I will say, at least in this game, we don't have as much crazy late game scaling. Like, you take the Kayle out of the equation, everyone else wants to get off the bat nice and early. So I feel like we're going to see a huge amount, at least a bit more early
I love
presence.
that you immediately backed out your statement. You're like, it is LNG.
I said that and my brain was like, come on, bud, don't lie to yourself.
You remember that stat at the beginning of the day, the longest game average time for LNG? Well, hey, they forced teams into that, all right? LGD might not be a willing passenger in the long games. We'll see if they can actually get to that point as LGD going for a late invade here. They have all the CC. They have probably the multiple bandage tosses as well. Shadow going for the red buff down here. They're actually bringing Tarzan down to contest for this, as the red buff should reset after one more retarget. Tarzan's going to be right here to take the chicken nuggets while his red buff resets, and LGD back away with nothing. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's a nice attempt from LGD. I mean, Jinzhou having the double bandage toss means that you inevitably have more CC to actually win out in these fights. But as you said, taking his nuggies very seriously. Tarzan hits level 2. He's a growing boy. He needs his chicken. And it means that then you don't have that level 2 spike for Shadow. So the advantage that LGD would have gained with Tarzan having the extra level outweighs the CC potential that LGD have. So actually going to set Shadow a little bit behind. And the fact that you don't get a clear or help on your clear from your team, and also you have to smite early on the blue buff, means that Shadow's going to be pretty low going through this initial jungle. So probably need to look for a reset before he actually tries to go for any sort of gank.
Yeah, I talked up all the aggression, the crazy pathing and the fun, right? But it could be a little bit detrimental there, as Tarzan should be farming away, and on this Viego will get very scary, right? Like, we have seen Shadow be very, very willing to pick up this pick so far. In last game, the resets were so huge. And that's why I wanted to put such a renewed focus on the jungle matchup in this last game, because it does feel like, at least in the early game, the early leads that we saw, it relies on these two guys, these two mainstays for both their teams, right? Shadow has been a huge part of LGD's growth over the last split, right? Like over summer, spring, and even a little bit further than that, right? Last split, last year. And Tarzan himself, a mainstay in the LPL, but still trying to maybe get his ground underneath him on LNG. still showing the mechanics and the reason why we propped up this jungler so much.
Yeah, and I think LNG is a team that we've been expecting a lot out of because they did go to Worlds back in 2021 as our 4th seed after having that insane run. And we thought, oh, okay, maybe this stuff is starting to come together. We come into 2022, they've got some incredible names, but they can't get it to work yet.
They have not. They're bringing 4 bodies a bit late for LGD. Again, we said they had all the CC. They start off with 1 bandage toss. It is waited to use, but Doinby puts out the rocks and nobody takes the bait. LGD with an early movement to mid lane, but with nothing to come up of it.
Yeah, and it means it's just wasted time for Astum and Jinjiao. You see now they have to move back into the spot lane with a slow push being set up by LNG. So LNG's bot lane should get a nice reset in, be able to pick up the tier, and that's something that's very much a luxury in this lane, although as I say that, maybe they don't get to, as Jinjiao will get a decent engage up, but I feel like the wave is just too big here. The Shadow's in trouble.
No. Yeah, G's right here, but Shadow is not super healthy. Yeah, G will have to turn tail. Flash comes out from Shadow. That'll be a big cooldown to revisit.
I mean, that flash seemed like right on the edge to get him over the wall. So flash for flash, and at least you get a little bit of that CS back in your favor. But yeah, a little bit of a messy start here from Shadow. And a lot of this is kind of coming from that initial invade where he didn't get the level 1 that he was hoping for, which means that it kind of just set him behind. And Tarzan using that to his advantage really well to make sure that he's been able to keep Shadow just in a bit of an awkward situation. Level 4 to level 3 and a play on bot side.
Tarzan is here as a lot of damage back at Iwandi, but it's quickly returned in kind. First blood for Tarzan at LNG.
And that's just a bit unfortunate. This is the downside to the Mumu support. You're very squishy in the early stages, especially running this Glacial Augment. So having no real way back out of the fight when I want is engage, Jinjiao falls, and it's just a nice play from Tarzan to keep this jungle advantage rolling.
Yeah, now they get the resets there back onto the map. Dragon up on the table. Could be an early advantage for LNG, but it's not been something they go for. It's been LGD every single time. We'll get a replay of that fight in bot lane and a bit of overextension from Jinjiao. Let's see if the vision. Wait. Oh. Wait, what? That's kind of nutty. That's kind of nutty, Dagda. That's dirty. He didn't even use the invisibility. How did he get through there? I don't understand how that worked. My brain hurts right now. I don't know what to say, Dagda. He wasn't even invisible, and he just walked right by that sentry.
Yeah, I mean, perfect play from Tarzan there, managing to skip around it. And now we got to see, as Iwandi chases Jinja out, if this bot lane for LNG is actually going to be able to stay in good tact. I don't think we're going to get a huge amount more plays coming down here from Tarzan. I think there was more of an opportunistic gank. But we'll have to see if Shadow can try and match some of this pressure now, because realistically, this is the big advantage of Lee Sin in this matchup, is his ability to take the 1v1 skirmish, look for having higher damage output when he gets into like 2v2s or 3v3s. But because we haven't really seen the early game pan out well for Shadow, he hasn't been able to use that advantage. He hasn't been able to link up with Yeji in the mid lane like they were hoping, and it means that LNG actually going to start up and get the first dragon, it looks like, for the first time in this series.
Hey, some changes, adaptations. There you go. I like it. A little bit of early focus. All 4 of them going to be here. It's a little bit of a party in the Dragon Pit for LNG. The streamers go off. Dragon goes down. LNG get an objective on the board early on.
So finally, LNG kind of getting a bit of control in the early stages. And this, at least for LGD, isn't as big of a worry because you do have that big late game scaler in the Kale. But the problem is that the mid game is going to be so much stronger for LNG that if they actually get these early leads, they can start to snowball that. And again, a lot of that is going to be on Doinby. Just hit level 6 in the mid lane a little while ago, just hitting level 7. Has the Ionian Boots of Lucidity now to start getting as much CDR onto this ultimate as possible and start roaming around the map.
You saw Tarzan playing a bit aggressive there. Did take the blue buff from Shadow, so that'll be a nice little pickup in his area. But we'll see Shadow hovering around this mid lane. It's obvious where they want to put the focus, and it's definitely Doinby early on. They don't have anybody else that they've brought up this time. It's just the Shadow show if they can get something. But guess who else is here? And it's Iwandi. He doesn't have level 6, and he can't get to Doinby in time, and Doinby just dies. Shadow gets the kill. It'll be first kill for LGD, but now They need to try and get out of this one. Yeah, G's like, I'll try and help you, Shadow, but he's got Heartbreaker. He got Safeguard over the wall, but it's a flash from Iwandi. Tarzan is the one that actually gets the kill, and that'll be a nice turnaround for LNG.
Yeah, a little bit messy there. Shadow trying to see if he could ward hop over the wall, but doesn't quite get out. He's waiting on the cooldown on that Safeguard. It means he ends up falling with the flash over the wall from Iwandi. Now LNG will get the Rift Herald as well, although LGD might be looking to say something about that, but you've Yeji and base. This is a 2v2 for the moment, with multiple members of LNG coming.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit tricky. Iwandi, the burn is enough. Let's see the double knocker. One knocker, at least. Nice. Jin Zhao stuns the curse of Sad Mummy on 3. Now Doonby's dead. Chalitza picks up the kill. That's a big divine intervention as well. Jin Zhao trying to get out of there. Shadow and yeah, G Flash. Allah is getting so low, but he will not go down. LGD strike when momentum is hot. They stop LNG from grabbing the Rift Herald, and that is a dub, my good sir.
The most clutch level up I have seen from, I think, anyone. Jin Zhao hitting level 6 off the initial kill means that they're able to buy enough time for Yeji to get to the fight, and they're able to win it out. That was so crucial here. So we get this initial play in mid lane, which it's a nice pick. Shadow, because the exhaust though, isn't actually able to get out as successfully as he'd want to. And here, look, he sticks down the ward thinking, oh, I can hop over, but instead decides to go over towards G, which means he takes that little bit more damage. But watch here, as we start to come in, you don't actually have level 6 hit for Jin Zhao, but because they get the kill on Iwandi, knowing there's no exhaust, knowing there's no play, Jin Zhao gets the kill, gets the reset, hits 6 in the ultimate, flashes forward, and gets all the CC here. And LNG are hoping that they can maybe just clutch out the fight, but Chalitza having that saving grace for Asim as well now means that they can't get the Rift out. That play so incredibly clutch from LGD. The flashes after, I will say, suck.
A little sus.
Terrible idea.
A little sus. Emergency
just take
meeting.
the win. Look, you already had the divine intervention you needed. Don't get greedy, but it's still a good play from LGD.
I love that LGD, no matter what had happened early on, still find that advantage. The skirmishing potential that this team brings to the table is huge, and they're utilizing that, right? I think that's something that I find interesting LGD doing is actually finding execution on the comp they draft, right? Like, it's so interesting. They draft these very, very, I guess, obvious compositions in terms of what they try to want to accomplish, and we've seen, at least in the last couple games, that so far they're actually able to play to those win conditions.
Yeah, I will say messy from LNG though. Like
Absolutely.
the fact that they end up taking so long to turn on to Asim and Jin Zhao, like they never actually pick up the Rift Herald after they kill it. It's all just kind of sloppy, and this is why teams just haven't been. Well, I mean, the casting team in general hasn't been happy to watch LNG because they just feel like it's so much wasted potential. This team doesn't really seem like it's going anywhere. If anything, they feel like they're worse than Spring. And with so many of our other teams in the league starting to step up, there are big question marks about, although LNG are like 3-2 at the moment, do they actually end up hitting playoffs?
I mean, they've got to turn it on now, and it's not going to start by a tough series against LGD of all teams, right? Like, LNG should have come away with this one clean easy, but it has not been clean and easy. They still have got a long road to trek as LGD are playing towards their at least benefits in terms of that skirmishing, that early catch out, that CC, and Iwandi, he's going to run away from the rest of his teammates because he knows he is just a dry old catfish out on a pier that just got fished up by LGD.
Iwandi is getting caught out a lot on this catfish, overestimating very much how much damage he can take. And now LGD will get the first dragon of the game, and we'll actually get to see what our soul is going to be. No Cloud Dragon, but Chalitza in trouble.
This is a nice little catch out here, Chalitza. Not much CC. Allah's just have a little bit of fun while he watches Tarzan try to take down Chalitza. TP's now going to be committed from Yaji. And I don't think LNG really can do anything about this anymore. Chalitza's getting low, but he does have a healing ability, and he will start to heal up a little bit.
Yeah, Wave is gone, and because you've got the ultimate for Chalitza and Yaji, there's a lot of invulnerability to deal with. So LGD force LNG's bot late away from the tower on the bottom side, and that means that they're actually able to get some turret plates for Asim. So Asim actually benefiting there from Yaji's TP alongside Chalitza not going down.
Something that's really interesting. We're about to get towards the end of plates.
Oh, we go
here.
again.
Yeah, they're trying again. Nobody has really gotten placed besides that bottom lane. Here, top side, though, Weaver's wall coming out. And yeah, G, I think you know what's coming next. Ooh, he dodges out, though, of the seismic shove. He's going to go with the frozen, and now he's still buying tons of time. Ala is tanking up a storm, though. Didn't even have Meganar at the end there. They get one. Fate's Call brings in Jin Zhao. I don't think they want to go for that one, as Asif does back away in the end. Shadow's down here as well, and the carousel keeps on turning here. And Shadow tries to go for it, tries to get the kick to devour.
Close.
Beautifully timed. Shadow, what are you doing? He's going for it. He got one. They're TPing. Light is down. Double kill for the jungler of LGD. Ala is trying to catch up to Asim here. He will find a little bit of damage. He'll get the procs here. He'll get a little bit more. Asim has to flash. Ala might have the jump here as well. Will not find the boomerang. And after a chaotic series of events, it's LGD who found themselves almost up 2,000 gold.
Yeah, nice kick from Shadow to get the knock up, and just waiting long enough for the Grey Health to disappear in the TK before he follows in. Means that now we get LGD getting back on the map. Shadow, though, getting some pressure from Ala. Does have the support of Yeji, so Ala will back away.
Nothing much there. Just playing a little aggressive, a little bit of an annoyance there, but we'll look back at that bottom lane and the chaos that ensued after this fight.
Yeah, I mean, Jin Zhao missing that second bandage toss may honestly have saved him. Bit of a whoopsie there from Jin Zhao, but with Shadow coming in, you see it here. Ward hop with the kick means that you get the double knock up. And the second he sees that the Grey Health is going to disappear, manages to get in and get the double set up there, tanking the tower beautifully as well to make sure Jin Zhao could follow.
I got scared. All right, I got scared. But Shadow, hey, execution, and on the Lee Sin. That's why he picks this champion. The comfort, the execution is there. He's on the Lee Sin. As we come back to it, though, there's a bit of pressure in mid lane. It will be Rift Herald secured by LGD.
Yeah, I mean, LNG gonna see if they can make a play in mid, though. They know that they've got the Lee Sin on the Rift Herald, but LGD contesting the mid push nicely. And this is where LGD can actually start to snowball a nice little advantage for themselves. Mid tower's already gone. You've got a tower nearly dead on bot side, which Shalitza can happily pick up now that he's hit level 11. And maybe a dive in top lane.
Ala doesn't have Megadar here. I love that we see this much aggression from Shadow. Kick is back up, and Ala has 3 members of LGD on his doorstep, and Asim gets the kill.
And now you've got the Rift out. They can go for a second tier 2 tower as well. Like LNG, not in a position to defend this. Doomby's still a mid lane, so you'll get charge number 1. You get charge 2 as well, and then a great reset timer for LGD on the next dragon as well. Like, honestly, LNG, they're starting to struggle here.
They are indeed. The composition not coming online when they want it to, and they've still got to deal with the timer that is Shalitza. Second tier tower falls in top lane, and that is so much gold for LGD, as I'm sure they'll get resets off here. Tarzan is on their blue side, trying to be a menace, trying to get a little bit of farm back, and trying to get a bit of advantage for himself in this team. But I will say, back to the conversation of the junglers, we've seen so much rely on both Shadow and Tarzan aggression in this game.
Yeah, but it's never just jungle. It's always that conversation in mid jungle, and that's where we're actually seeing the difference for LGD. Doomby has made some plays to side lanes, but hasn't been that big impact that we're hoping from. The Talia hasn't really been making these roams work, and I mean, when you get to team fights, you'll have a lot of use out of the E for Doomby, being able to set up that gravel for Asim, for Shadow as well, Jin Zhao. You can get some nice stuns with it, but I mean, if LGD are just massively far ahead and we're still waiting for this KO to be that late game menace, I'm not sure if LNG are kind of picking up the pace fast enough as they need to.
I gotta ask, Dagda, what is your professional opinion on Doomby's love of the crown? Is it just because he's a king? Is that why? Or queen?
So I think in this case, it actually makes sense. Because there's going to be like a ton of burst that can come through very quickly. But Asim, where are you going?
Oh, yeah, G tries to get up with the flash, does not find it. The CC needs to be the potential here. Chalitza is looking for a flake. You're not on a flake champion this time, buddy. You got to be careful. Chalitza gets out with his flash. It'll be Dragon secured by LGD. Second Dragon of the game for them. TP now coming out into the mid lane for Yaji. And LGD still positioning here onto Iwandi, onto Ala. Iwandi is down early in this fight. That means LGD have the numbers advantage. They also caught out Ala, who's just completely separated from his team. Tarzan goes for Chalitza, but he has the Divine Judgment. He'll survive for a little bit longer. He'll get taken down. Now the reset for Tarzan, but look at Shadow. He's going on Doinb. Abscon abduct there is not, or the bandage toss rather. Doinb is chunking down Jin Zhao here and eventually gets the kill. I can't believe that after all of that, LNG are still looking for it. They're going under the tower here as Yaji gets, Doinb just makes up for all of it. A triple kill for the super carry.
LGD just keep over chasing on these plays. They got the kill, they got the pick onto Allah at the end, and you just call it quits. You got everything you needed to, but that inexperience on this roster showing its head, where LNG managing to find the kite back into the kills, and now they get the mid lane turret, and what had started as such a good play for LGD completely falls apart. We'll see it here. Like, this positioning from LGD was great. They use the LG TP into the mid to find multiple different angles of attack, but they separate it completely here. So LGD jump on towards Allah, but you've actually got Chalitza separate. But now you call it quits. Chalitza dies, you don't need to follow up. But they tried to get the play onto Doinb, who flashed off the wall, and now you're gone. Like, Assam can't follow up. Yeah, G has already used his claw to get in position, and Tarzan and Light are still full health in this fight. You needed to just back away at that stage.
I can't believe that Doinb comes in here at the end as well and gets the double seismic shove onto them and gets the kills. Everything working out for LNG off the back of some maybe not needed aggression from LGD. I will say it started off with Chalitza though on the side, going for like a flank angle on the Kale, having a flash over the wall, and then LGD just felt like they were losing everything from there.
Yeah, I mean, look, you still get the Dragon for LGD, which is going to be great. I think this composition, especially if you can stack a couple of Mountain Dragons, it's going to be really good because of people like Chalitza, but Shadow, lucky.
They really just want to kill Iwandi at this point. Weaver's Wall is coming in though. Doinb is coming as backup. Jin Zhao, you're a little bit out there. He's got to get away. Still is the tankiness though from the Amumu build, and they'll back away. Almost a good engage for LGD.
Yeah, they do get the Weaver's Wall out of Doinb though, which is actually a pretty big win for LGD, because they would have struggled at the moment to push in sides and contest mid with no TP on Yeji, and just buying space for Chalitza to actually farm up on a side lane without having to worry about Doinb showing up randomly on the Weaver's Wall or anything like that is going to be super nice. So again, I know that looked a little bit funky from LGD, but I think burning these side lane tools for LNG is going to be very important.
Will indeed. As we do see items coming up here. We're working on our third item at least for Doinb will be Zanya's there, so that'll be a nice little power up for himself. Yaji on the other side though, still only working on the second item here, and that's a little bit of a difference that LNG have found is the gold advantage, at least on certain champions, right? Like, you've got second item now completed for Tarzan. They'll feel a little bit more comfortable moving up in aggression as we have another dragon coming up in a minute and 20 seconds. This would be soul point for LGD. Chalitza is getting closer and closer to that level 16 mark. It's just all about farm and things, even though we've seen chaos, for this moment are calming down, but win conditions still in line.
Yeah, and I think this is where we're going to start to see the struggles for LNG come through, as Chalitza does get up towards the later point of the game. Again, because we don't have that great objective focus from LNG, you're not under pressure as LGD to suddenly start to look at these dragons. You can just leave Chalitza at the side lane as you give maybe a second dragon over towards LNG, but that should give you enough time as Shadow.
There's a lot of people here, and Chalitza is right behind him. True Shot Barrage going to do even more damage. Weaver's Wall now coming up. It's back up, Dagged out, and now they've cut off LGD. Chalitza is by himself. Divine Judgment is available. He'll buy some time, but not much. And LNG find a big pick, utilizing the tools at their disposal.
But I don't understand why LGD are here. Like, why is Shadow face checking in on that bot side? You should just be using these minutes to get the farm onto Chalitza. Instead, you're trying to make plays around Chalitza, and he ends up dying before he can actually get any of the CS or any of the gold. So LNG now, with the dragon up, are going to be able to get a ton of control here and be able to get that dragon, but you don't get that counterplay from LGD where you actually get some farm on the rest of your team.
A little bit dicey here for LGD. They do give up another objective, the second dragon of the game for LNG. They continue towards their stacking game. Still have to keep that watch out for Chalitza, but It's going to be a little while longer until we get that next big fight with the inclusion of hopefully a level 16 Kale. But it still is, looking back at what I was talking about earlier, third item completed now for Doinb. A lot of strength coming through this mid-jungle duo of Tarzan and Doinb. And even if Iwandi's been getting caught out, he might be a fish, but he's playing a little bit of bait here. As long as you set up for the carries, it's all fine and dandy.
I have to see how they are going to manage that. I think definitely the team fighting tools that LGD have are still going to give a good amount of control to them in fights, but it's just about actually setting it up. It feels like Shadow's just jumping the gun every time when he doesn't need to, trying to make plays when he can just let the rest of his team do the heavy lifting.
Yeah, again, they drafted all the CC you could ever ask for, it felt like. And yes, they've utilized it a few times to get some big catch outs, but they've also not been able to find the big team fights and a lot of the setup that they were wanting to find. And I think when we were looking at the differences between this LGD comp and what we've seen so far from them, there were some questions rising, putting Chalitza on this late game carry, putting all the resources in that basket in a player that's coming in today, right? And being able to see how this pans out. Is this a carry potential top laner? Is he going to be resided to the tanks? What do we see come out of this series here? Because it's been such a back and forth one so far, Dagda. And even 25 and a half, or almost 25 minutes in, it feels like we have a long way to go.
Yeah, it feels like the neither team really has full control. You can see that reflected in the gold lead, like just 1,000 gold separating these two dragons apiece. Towers are slightly in favor of LGD, but it's not really a big factor to write home about. And again, I mean, this Kale is just slowly farming up. Now, I will say at the moment, LNG are getting control over the areas like this. Baron right now is they're grouping up as a squad, but in small quarters like this, you need to be so careful of Jin Zhao's ult.
Wall coming out. Look at Allah. He's on the flank here. Chalitza there just in time for the Divine Judgment. Though Jin Zhao's getting dragged out. Shadow finds the engage there on the side against Allah. He has to get away though, and it's not looking good for LGD. They found one onto Iwandi, but again, he's just bait. Now Tarzan's getting the resets. He'll connect, and he'll find another one. That's another soul to bite as LNG will move mid lane. Ooh, Yaji goes gold, or actually stops the seismic shove there for just a little moment, goes golden, buys even more time, but still dies. You can buy all the time in the world, but the end is eventually coming for you, LGD.
I mean, this is just messy from LGD. They're getting caught out consistently by these map movements. They're not really getting vision control down, and I mean, LNG, nice job to punish that with Doomby coming in on the Weaver's wall, and now as they hop over the wall, they should get the Baron. And LGD, that clock that is ticking in the top has not actually come up in time because the alarm clock is already ringing for LNG.
Ding, ding, ding. Baron is secured by LNG. 3 minutes on that timer. We'll get a replay of the start of that fight. LNG, again, showing their decision-making, their shot calling, always next level.
But look at where Shadow is. He's so far up in that mid lane. Like, trying to find a flank that he really doesn't need to go for. You just need to be making sure that you're protecting Assam in this case, and Chalitza to get to the late game. But because Shadow's so far away and Ala ends up flashing to the side, they don't get that kick that Shadow was looking for. You got Doomby who's managed to separate out the squad as well. And now it's just panic stations for LGD. Like, try as much as possible to stay along as live as possible until Shadow can come back up, maybe Assam can come back up and you can defend. But the Baron is already gone. A minute until Dragon means that this should now go over to LNG as well as they push mid, can fall back relatively easily to get vision on bot side jungle and also to get into river with this Baron up creep.
And at this point, I know we always talk about the Kale, and we talked about it a lot in this one. But I don't know if it makes that big of a difference at this point. It's up to execution in the fight, right? Like Chalitza's positioning when he gets to that level 16 mark. Because you can have a wonderful powered up Gundam suit, but if you don't know how to pilot it, well, it's not going to look too good. Now LGD are moving back into their base, back into a defensive position as LNG look to take down this side lane tower.
Yeah, and again, it's all about establishing that control for the 30-second timer that's on the top left of your screen. You have Chalitza very close to hitting level 16, but unfortunately he's just not quite going to get there. He's trying to share XP in the mid lane, which is never going to work out. And it feels like you're going to have to give over this objective now as LGD, putting LNG onto Soul Point.
Look at this. They're
Weaver's wall
bringing
to
him
separate,
top.
yeah.
They're bringing him top to try to get the level, but they still have Baron for another minute. LNG can push the pressure here. They've got 2 cannon minions down here to push in this inhib tower. They've also got it crashing in top. I understand you're going to get level 16, but you might lose even more of your base.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely will. And this is the problem. Remember what we said? Like, trying to play around Chalitza rather than Chalitza just being allowed to farm up. Ale has hit the level 16, but Chalitza is still lagging behind because he hasn't been left to his own devices on side lanes. Now you can see him desperately trying to get the Raptors, clear up whatever jungle camps he can, just to hit the level 16. But LNG, they're already going to get the bot inhibitor. They'll get the dragon. And yes, the level 16 is wonderful for the Kayle, but you still need the items to kind of come in behind it as well. And you're not hitting that third item just yet. The level 16 not quite there. It still feels like you just don't have enough in the tank here with Chalitza, even if he does hit the level 16.
And I want to go back to, the main focus that we put on for this game.
Oh, never mind. He bought a full GA.
He did. He got the full GA. He was saving it. He wanted to get the level 16 mark as he got the purchase. Didn't really work out for him. But what I love here is in this third game, we have seen the jungles be a big part of the reason why this game has gone so chaotically, and we'll see that continue here as the fight. Jin Zhao wants it. He goes in. Shadow was waiting the whole time, and they just kill Iwandi before he can do anything.
Jin Zhao is low, but still has the ultimate available. Same with G. So this could actually be a big moment
Weaver's
for
wall.
LGD.
He's trying to catch out Asim here. Doesn't do so. We'll start seeing the kiting here. G taking some damage. Jin Zhao goes over the wall, but gets dragged back for the Fate's Call. Double ult into the sad mummy, but we'll see it turned around now. Chalitza is doing work with that Divine Judgment, and it's backed off by LNG. That will be a close one, but you're starting to see the power of LGD come through here. But it's all about that execution still, and almost Chalitza getting caught out by the seismic shove.
Yeah, 2 kills for 1 there for LGD. A lot invested on both sides. Yeji's flash gone down. Jin Zhao not having flash now as well, especially in the 4-minute window before Dragon ends up spawning. These are actually pretty big spells that you would like to have available. And even though LGD technically come out with the kill lead, LNG still get the tower top. Their tower mid is gone. Inhibitor bot side is gone as well. Like, LNG still own this map. And it's always going to be LGD fighting from a deficit.
He's level 16 now, Dagda. We'll take a look at that fight. Jin Zhao here, though, is the architect of the masterpiece that LGD are trying to put together.
Yeah, Jin Zhao doing a really good job of being smart on when he uses his ultimate. So just use the bandage toss with Shadow being able to get the kickback onto Tam Kench. So it means that when you find this engage here from Jin Zhao onto Doombi, you actually have the Fate's Call. Then you can use that ultimate on towards Light, as you see here. Double lock up there from Jin Zhao. He will end up falling. I think the flash a bit ambitious there from Jin Zhao to try and survive, but it does give the team fight at least a cross. But again, LNG now still in a really good spot when it comes to their map presence. It's just a case of can they deal with Chalitza, who now 3.5 items strong, has a ton of damage. And Shadow still hunting for these picks on the Lee Sin. Yeah,
he's just been constantly looking, but a big factor to a one-sided fight in this situation is Tarzan getting resets. He is 7-0 on this Viego. And if you start getting the kills early for LNG, it all goes down for LGD. But that's where they've been really, really good at picking out the quick kills and backing away, not letting Tarzan live in those prolonged fights and find those resets. Shadow still looking, still on the prowl. In the shadows, if you will, Dagda.
There's no vision. They haven't actually spotted Shadow here, so he's going to be seeing if he can try and make the play here. He has to try and play Seeker Agent, though, because what he wants to do is try and dodge the waves, get into behind LNG as they're going for the Baron, which is about to spawn, but there is that one Scryer's ward that you can see there that will spot him if he tries to go.
Oh no, the Weaver's wall, they're TPing in. Shadow gets the kickback onto Doinby. The Fate's Call as well. They're trying to get Doinby down. They're trying to, but they can't do it. He goes golden. Now Chalitza's in the fight here, though, and it's a 5v3 in this situation. The Fate's Call brings Tarzan over, but gets over at least. And now Shadow gets the flash play, the outplay, and LGD's win conditions are online here, Dagda. It is incredible to watch.
They are going to get the Baron. Like LGD, we're saying that LNG have control of the map, but LGD are the ones that, if they can find the right fight, have that damage available, and they show it right there. Baron now in their favor. Allah's trying to just clear out the minion wave so they can't get as much as possible out of this, but look at the objective bounties as well. They've just gone. So it means that LGD definitely equaling up on the goal, equaling up on the deficit they have. And with Baron now in their back pockets with 55 seconds till the Dragon, they can look to play towards that. And this was Doomby trying to find the pick onto Assam, thinking Assam was separated, but that bait with Shadow waiting in the wings. Now Iwandi is overextended. Doomby dies to Chalitza. Tarzan goes down, and LNG, they're just completely separated on this fight because LGD are throwing that pike straight through the middle of their heart of the team.
Yeah, I mean, that was an incredible pick-apart fight there. When LNG were the ones that pulled the trigger first on it. And now we're looking at Dragon spawning at 20 seconds. We're even close to the Elder yet, unless LNG can get in position to get this fourth Dragon for themselves. Tarzan's moving in, trying to take out some vision. But LGD have the strength to just burn it down once it spawns. Doomby and the rest of LNG are looking to push mid. The Baron buff still on for 2 minutes here, though.
LGD looking a little separated though, so now they start to group up in this mid lane. Jinzhao has his flash back up and available, so this big ultimate from the Amumu could be enough. Zonya's Hourglass as well, so Jinzhao willing to go very deep on this play, but doesn't really need to. Dragon going to be picked up by LGD, 3-3, and now we get to see exactly how LNG want to play this.
LNG are playing towards the top side. They're trying to get some vision around as LGD and the rest of the company are in mid lane, pushing this one up. Maybe actually looking to get some resets off there. Trying to find Allah, actually, I think, on the side here, as he will be pushing that one in. Shadow all the way on the bottom side. A lot of mobility on the Lee Sin, but just trying to deal out some pressure against LNG and not let them have a free state of map.
Yeah, it does feel a bit weird to see Shadow the one pushing bot side, though. I feel like it should be Yeji with the TP available who is actually pushing in on sides, because even just from a level advantage, being able to match the ever-scaling Doomby, and also having someone that can very quickly join in with the team if needs be is going to be better, but they just want to keep Yeji here, it seems like, for an engage tool, but you have Jinzhao there already.
Reaver's Wall.
TP
coming through here. Allah's behind them, but Chalitza's coming right behind him, and Divine Judgment's still there. Allah doesn't even get Meganar. Goes down on Raveled Earth, not going to do much.
Shadow!
Here comes Shadow, looking for the flanks. The 3-man Dragon Rage kick, but it's just a little bit for show. As the entire team for LGD show up in mid lane, the back coming through, but Yeji has TP, and they still got Baron for about 20 seconds here.
There's the TP onto the wave to make sure they can actually keep that minion alive. They're looking to crack open the base here. LGD want to use this last 10 seconds of the Baron buff.
They've got a lot of strength with it as well. True Shot Barrage goes wide, but just trying to clear out the minions as much as he can. The tower will not fall, and LGD unsuccessful in their siege, but they've put a lot of pressure onto LNG, because now Shadow, that split push in side lane, working out so far.
Yeah, now they're going to collapse down with the rest of LGD. Tarzan needs to be careful because he doesn't know where LGD are over the wings. So pushing LNG right the way back, evening up essentially where our tower difference is, apart from that inhibitor turret missing on bot side in favor of LNG. But with 2.5 minutes now until both of these objectives come up, it feels like the Mountain Dragon is going to be so crucial for both of these squads.
Absolutely, and that fight in 245 is going to be crucial. We still have Baron up in 220 though, so it could be a little bit of a pre-existing fight happening before that Dragon comes through, as you know, the Baron is a safeguard to a lot of the siege that can come down from either of these sides. But since we have this little bit longer, the resets will come through for LNG. And I want to take a look at what we have in terms of builds, right? We're still lacking a lot on G at the mid lane, TBH. He's gotten Flame Horizon by doing B. The resources have been all going to Chalitza, and I think you're going to need to see that damage start to come through on all members, right? Because for the side of LNG, you're looking at almost full items across the board.
Honestly, I think from G's side, just build as much tankiness as possible now, because realistically, Chalitza's your carry. He is full build. He is totally fine. He doesn't need anything else. Probably gonna, like, the only thing he can get is a pot. So I think for your engage, just making sure Yeji can look for it. Shadow also waiting in the wings, though. Does get caught out.
Shadow's walking across the Weaver's Wall there, though. They do catch Shadow out a little bit. Oh, Jinzhao. Not exactly how you want to engage there. Still pretty tanky, but LGD realized they might have pulled the trigger a little too early on that one. I just love that we're getting the 1v1s at the side for the setups between Tarzan and Shadow. It does not set this series up well enough in that regard, because it has been such a drag-out fight between these two junglers.
I mean, literally, you just need one engage coming through from LGD, and if it can keep Chalitza safe, they will win this game. For LNG, that's why they're trying desperately to find picks. You've even got Tarzan going for the Anathema's Chain now that he's just picked up, because they just want to get one person that they can pick off and then force an uneven fight. But if Jin Zhao can get that ultimate set up, same when you look towards Yeji, that's where you're really going to see the problems coming through for LNG.
Yeah, and I will say, we have a little bit of a fight getting set up here, but for both these teams, I think this is a nice refresher, right? Because the last series that they were a part of, they got both of them 2-0'd each. And I think going the distance, albeit really rough in terms of game time and length and stress, it's been really incredible to watch these teams leave everything out on the Rift. And speaking of, we're getting the setup for the last fight here. It seems like at least, or one of the last fights, Dagda.
Yeah, we were actually swapping to opposite sides of the map. No minion line for either person.
They started up the Baron here, though. Assam and Chalitza are just doing the Baron. Ala is going to go Meganar. Weaver's Wall has split LGD. The Shadow always perpetually looking for these flanks, looking for the Dragon Rage kicks. Tarzan not able to find the stun there as well. LGD moves into the blue side jungle of LNG, but they're still in front of the Baron pit, and Shadow is fine just waiting. He's just waiting for somebody to slip up on LGD, and it's Ala! He slips up and he dies. Assam gets it. Now Fate's call in. Curse of the Sad Mummy is there and he gets them all. LGD! Their scaling came online, but they got to take the fight. Duinby is still strong. Light is still strong, but they're taking them down one by one. It's still a 4v4. True Shot Barrage comes across. It gets the GA, but it's not enough to change the day. And now it's Barrett for LGD.
But LNG can run over towards the Dragon. Mountain Soul is going to last longer. LGD, I think they made the wrong call. I think they should have gone for the Soul here because that's the more permanent buff. Unless LGD can just end the game with this Baron buff, it's going to be the longer boon for LNG.
This is a bit of tradesies, but the Mountain Soul secured by LNG. The tankiness will be rampant for them. It's going to be very difficult to take down Duinby now, as we've seen LGD love to try to focus. And I think the interesting part is how this next fight pans out, right? We have another while on this Baron buff. This is going to be the moment that, as you said, LGD need to look to end. But as we see LGD playing to their conditions, catching out Ala, that cannot happen if you're LNG.
Yeah, and then a great engage here from Jin Zhao, but unfortunately the follow-up just wasn't quite in time. Shadow as well tries to look for the kick on towards Light, but with the Arcane Shift just about coming up, Light's able to get himself to safety and get sniped off the back. But I think a bad trade. I really think you needed the Mountain Soul here for LGD. It would have been so good for you. And even just because so much of your damage from Chalitza is kind of bursting someone out with those initial few auto attacks, like having that Mountain Soul can actually make the difference here for LNG.
See, as push is renewed in mid lane, LGD still have the Baron buff, but the clearing is starting to get pretty strong from LNG. I guess it's been strong since everybody's pretty much full build at this point. And LGD are just poking and prodding with this Baron buff to figure out where they can put some pressure, where they can take down one of these big inhibitor turrets and get lasting damage on the Rift.
Assassin Shadow still on the hunt though. See if he can clear out some of this vision, get himself into a spot where maybe he can look for a flank opportunity. LNG now trying to contest the blue buff will actually go over the way of Duinby, so the right guy getting his hands on that. Yeji pushing in boss, Chalitza top, LGD trying to use this Baron buff as much as they can, but as we said, with only a minute left, LGD haven't cracked the base, they haven't done anything with this Baron buff, but LNG got that Mountain Soul, so this is what I was meaning, LGD just making that wrong choice in the moment.
Indeed. It's going to come back to bite them. Absolutely. I mean, they haven't been able to find anything with this Baron buff. They've got 50 seconds left to do something. Tarzan may be caught out by the Fate's call. They've got Yaji down here as well. This is a big catch out. Goes Gold, and he's trying to buy time for the rest of his team. He's tanky. Gets away with the miss, the Heartbreaker over the wall, and he's a quick son of a gun. You can't get him.
No, but it does mean that he's able to get away. Jin Zhao!
Oh, Jin Zhao finds it. Curse of Sad Mummy. TPing from LGD. They might have over-committed a little bit here. Yaji stuck, dragged back. Can't really get to the claw. Has to flash over the wall.
Oh, it's messy as all hell from LGD. I don't think Jin Zhao really actually wanted to take that one, but once he was actually on the bandage toss wall, right? He just needed to ult to make sure that he could get out to safety. Messy, messy stuff from LGD. Bearing to flash on Yeji. Tarzan gets away. God, I don't know, Mazel. This game is going all sorts of funky.
I'm doing my long LPL game dance, but you can't see me because this is how we do it. We got to keep the energy going, Dagda. You're doing all right. Doing fine. This is the last game of the first series. Come on. Got this. It's just a little bit of give and take. It's a little bit of fun. We got to have fun on Super Saturday, all right? And LNG wanted to make sure that we go the distance. At this point, though, I'm a little bit scared for them because there's been some huge catch-outs. And again, back to the original conversation of the CC. Now that we're in the late game, now that everybody has all their items, the CC is that much more impactful because the amount of time you can't do anything with your champion matters all that more.
It's also just the fact that we've got that much CC available, and you're going to have both objectives spawning at the exact same time. So any catch out at all is going to be an absolute disaster, especially with LGD now keeping control over this bot side jungle. It becomes very hard for LNG to test this. They do have some decent poke, but it's so easy for LGD to pull the trigger if you overextend as LNG.
I'm loving some of the adaptations and builds, right? We got the Silvermere Dawn at least completed there for light, but I love to see, still committing a lot to some utility in terms of Tarzan's build as well with the Chempunk Chainsword. That's the wording. And see, I want to see if we do get some of those adaptations now that we've been at full build for a lot of these carries and seeing if they want to try to find different ways to approach these fights.
Still hovering in the fog of war. Ninja?
This is scary.
Well,
the vision
Tarzan.
game.
Yeah, I mean, it's turning into a bit of a horror show at the moment, to be honest. I mean, both slightly in the gameplay and with LGD maybe looking to pick off LNG, but they do reset with a minute until the Elder Dragon is available. So they have managed to keep LNG relatively short on their defensive wards, and now they can look to push up mid and again see if they can find these picks or the opportunity to just fall back towards the Elder Dragon as it spawns.
Yep, it's so funny that we got this same kind of decision-making needed last game as well. Both objectives were coming up within about 10 seconds of each other, and we're seeing who's going to go where. We did trade it, and we'll see if it's going to be traded as this time around, at least, as Tarzan and the rest of LNG moving up towards mid lane. Again, look at Shadow. Look at Shadow. He's always looking. He wants to get there early enough to not be spotted out. Maybe have a little bit of vision there. TP is available for Chalitza, but it's more so about the angles here for Shadow.
And that's the thing. Shadow knows where he's safe to go because this vision was already established by LGD. So he knows that at least the ward has been cleared out. So he assumes there's going to be vision at the back of the red buff. And the rest of LGD are going to see what they can do here. Claw threatening, pushing back LNG and buying space for LGD to push in mid lane.
Something that is scary, though, is we've seen a lot of times when LNG realize that Shadow is nowhere nearby, they pull the trigger on an engage on the rest of the team. The Weaver's Wall comes out. That they have to find the kills when they pull that off because Shadow has been playing very distant because he's trying to play the 007 style Lee Sin here and find those big flanks, but it also means he's going to take a little bit of time to get to that engage.
Yeah, I'm going to have to reset for the big wave that isn't topside. So now LGD are actually the ones with the advantage when it comes to the numbers. They see Ala on here, and that could be Shadow's button to go.
They're already onto it. Tarzan is going to have to find something, but LGD actually not confident because the TP from Ala is behind. He just wants to join his team. Chalitza needs to get with the rest of his team as well, though. He needs to be the main damage source. He needs to be in the front-to-back situation, and LGD aren't set up here until he gets around that way. Wandi on the side here. The Dragon is started by LNG this time around. Shadow's on the back of the pit. Gonna get re-aggroed here. Weaver's Wall coming across. They're trying to burn down the Elder Dragon before anybody can get to it. Look at Jin Zhao with the curse of the Sad Mummy. The kick of Doinby back in. Assam is completely untouched on the side here. Iwandi goes down. Chalitza's firing away. The Divine Judgment comes through. And LGD have LNG running for the hills here. But Yaji is gonna flash out. Meganar comes through for Allah. Tarzan is still alive.
Tarzan.
And LNG somehow turn it around. Look at the damage potential from Light.
But they keep turning to chase Tarzan, and Tarzan is running absolute rings around them every single time. And it means that LGD, Shadow is trying to deal with 3 members of LNG. Assam and Chalitza are running around after Tarzan and don't get any damage off the entire time. So it's going to be a trade. Elder for the Baron. But this fight could have gone so much better. That could have been the game-ending fight for LGD.
It could have. They looked so good. They were landing. But every time, the question begs itself, where's the follow-up? If you're not in position, you cannot follow up all the CC that you have. And we see that happen here.
Jin Zhao goes in, gets the big ultimate, but it's all very separated where, G doesn't really layer his CC properly. And here, fight forward. Like, I know that Tarzan is behind you, but if he ever engages, you turn back onto him at that stage. But G is out of abilities. Jin Zhao is dead. Shadow has to get out of the fight with his flash as well. And Tarzan is just running rings around the back line.
And Light is terrifying at this point, right? Like, Ezreal is full build. He is doing some serious damage. He's like half healthing Yaji with one Mystic shot. We'll see them backed off of the mid tower, and that'll be an inhib going down for LGD.
Red team's inhibitor has been
Shadow, again, trying to look for the play. No flash, though. Yeah, Jin Zhao, no flash himself, but has the Fate's Call to try and get in. It's much harder for LGD to try and get this big engage that they're looking for. But as you say, I think you need to find us as your base is just in shambles now for LGD.
Yeah, and they've got a big old wave in this top lane. They just move right up here. This Elder Dragon's too difficult to deal with. And there's no real easy in for Shadow. You might be looking for those picks, but so are LNG. Fate's Call had to be utilized. One little auto attack gets Chalitza down so far, and you're on the verge of getting the executions off. 45 seconds on that Elder Dragon buff here, and they really cannot fight this.
No, and I mean, you're going to lose your entire base. You can't actually just go for the end here for LGD. Like, it feels like LGD are going to have to fight their way against this Elder Dragon because LNG are going for it.
They're trying to not be the longest game in the LPL summer split, but they might not be able to finish it, and we might be going the distance here. They've got about 30 seconds to end the game before they become the longest game here. LNG trying to chase down Shadow. They finally found where he was, but now they're just renewing their push with the Elder buff still on about 10 seconds, but it'll be falling off shortly.
This game is never going to end, Mazel. You have LGD with the Baron buff, but now with every single inhibitor down, LGD are just going to be stuck to their base, and this is pretty much going to be the case for the majority of the next few minutes until they can maybe look to exit back out as these objectives spawn. But I don't know, like, it feels like there's no guaranteed win for LNG if they try to take the fight. Nexus turret still standing means that they can't really just brute force their way in. I think we're just waiting again until these objectives spawn.
The longest game of the split, we got it here. LNG versus LGD. And this is the second longest, longest game, I guess, of the split. I know we're early on. I guess we're about halfway through at this point, but very, very long game. Fitz LNG is at the top of the day. We were saying their average game time, the longest in the LPL. The way they approach the game, the later they look for the late game scaling. They look to execute in the mid to late game. And we find ourselves in a similar position here where LNG just got to cross their T's, dot their I's to finish the game.
Their average game time is 33 minutes, though. I'm not expecting 50-minute plus games every time LNG takes the rift, but they are going to start pushing in. I don't know if they can just brute force this.
They're going to try. They're going to split up. It's been just the Weaver's walls, but here comes the engage. He can't get it. He just has to go golden. There's so much damage coming down. Look at the re-engage there. And LNG are looking to take it right now. Doinby is tanking up a storm, and Chalitza has to back away. Shadow's so low, and here comes the end. They made you think. They made you regret the games they've given over, but LNG want to finish this one strong. LGD come out big, though. Shadow goes down, though, and Assam is going ham, but he's going to go down as well. Chalitza's back alive. What is happening? Oh, my God.
The minions are swarming in, though. They need to try and save the base. It's in absolute tatters as LGD will limp back to the safety of their base, and it was a messy engage, but once Chalitza gets into a spot where he's comfortable, he can actually take the fight. LGD will hold, and I told you, bud, we're waiting a minute until these objectives come up.
Oh my God. This one series is going over 3 hours, and it's incredible. I want
to watch Chalitza here, though, as this fight starts, because Chalitza goes on to Doomby. Watch how little damage he does. This is the Crown of the Shattered Queen doing work for Doomby.
Exactly.
So he's able to turn on to Chalitza. So poor choice from Chalitza there. But once they reset and they know that they don't have those issues anymore, that's where G goes for the engage. opens up the
Assam.
front line to go forward, and Assam and Chalitza are able to get a ton of work done here.
They literally just have like the pincer attack going. One on the top side of the fight, one on the bottom side of the fight, and you have to deal with one, but they weren't able to deal with either. And I think that's something that LNG will regret themselves not being able to finish off the game there. But you look at that damage, and Duanby is coming up huge. He is making the super carry nomenclature work for this Talia as a last pick in their draft here for the final game.
The problem is you have no way of leaving your base here as LGD. A ward is actually in the base of LGD. Double TP available for LNG. Super creeps pushing in as well. If you actually try and contest these objectives now, it's over for LGD. So they have to find some sort of miracle play or hope that LNG messes up, but they're already on towards this Elder Dragon, and then that again becomes too big of an issue for LGD to deal with.
Yeah, and if they lose this Elder Dragon, there's no way they take a fight. And we've already seen everything going to hell in the handbasket for them. We'll see the TPs coming in just to try to get back to base, try to get into the saving position against Allah, who was pushing. But again, you've got super minions coming to the top side you got to deal with. You've got an Elder Dragon now that will make these fights extremely one-sided. And this also means that LNG can force the hand, go for the Baron, easily cross the T's, dot the I's that they weren't able to cross before. And here they go onto the Baron.
Yeah, this time on the Baron, though, does actually mean that their Elder Dragon isn't going to be around for as long, but LGD want to try and fight with the Elder.
You got double super minions in base right now. You got to watch that top
Oh,
side. Jin
Jinjao's
Zhao is
dead.
completely caught here. Has to get fates called back. LNG actually a little bit scared to finish off the Baron, but they'll do so as the super minions begin to hit the Nexus. LGD can no longer put up a fight.
Well, here's the thing. LGD need to clear out these waves ASAP. Like, get these waves pushed back as far as possible, because I think it's LNG have realized, right, that they needed the Baron and the Elder to try and finish out this game, but because LGD don't push out the waves, now LNG get to collapse these waves very quickly, and there's still that minute on the buff as well, and with Baron, it's impossible for LGD to just clear out these minions. Shadow trying to see what he can do in a flank, but LNG again looking for it.
Yep, they're going to find the inhib mid lane, even though the Weaver's Wall just used as a baiting tool here. It'll be another inhib going down in bot lane as well. Shadow was around the edge, around the flank, but can't do anything at this moment. It'll be yet another inhib going down. When was the last 60-minute game in the LPL? Do you remember, Dagda?
I mean, it's been a hot minute.
It's
like,
been a
I'm
long
not
time.
gonna lie, so. LGD though, 45 seconds.
Jinjao
goes
curse
in.
of the sad mummy, but the Elder Dragon is still available, and he just gets the wings popped on him. Now, yeah, G is going to be the next to get executed here, and they still have damage from Chalitza and from Assam, but you're going against an Elder Dragon. You're going against a team that has the advantage, and the wings are a-flapping. LNG, they bring us all the way 56 minutes into the game, into the third game of this best of three, but LNG will still come out on top. And at this point, Dagda, I'm checking out too.
Yeah, I'm glad this series over, man. This was not a display of skill, particularly on either side.